Past 8.
The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Issues of the day under T-Radar.
Mr. T-Radar is with us with his issues of the day. I think he's rotating around his lounge room at the moment. G'day there, T-Radar.
Well, hello to you, and hello to the listeners who don't have the pleasure of watching this on the Skype. Yes, I was trying to become less backlit. I was sitting on the couch, you see. That's the joy of modern technology. You can just move around wirelessly.
Yeah, so and the thing is, once you start this video thing, you start to get very pedantic about not just audio, because you think you've got that covered, but also the way things look, and you think, oh, no, casting too much shadow there, or I need some kind of halogen light that might, light it more. I don't know. There's terms that lighting people give it, but I think it's a rounded kind of look, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can go a bit
particularly
overboard.
with all this sort of sunshine as we have that sort of Labour weekend descent into summer, or at least we think it'll be a descent into summer, and then what it'll actually be is it'll start raining now for about the next month and a half.
Gosh, I hope not. But it was a brilliant weekend for weather around the country.
Yes, it was. And it's one of those great things now at Labour weekend. You say to people, what did you get up to on your Labour weekend? And generally, instead of saying, I went away and did this or I did nothing, a lot of people say, I planted out the tomatoes.
Yes.
That's a wonderful sort of cultural shift.
Yes, and I put my hand up, say that I did do that, planted out some tomatoes.
How many did you plant out?
I planted about 6 out that I'd grown from seed since early August or something.
Right, see, you're really thinking ahead, aren't you? Because it is quite a lot of sort of carry. A lot of people just don't worry about the whole growing from seed thing. They just go to the store and they buy some that someone else has carefully sort of tended to. But growing from seed, that's where you really do make your profit.
Well, I'm just trying to ward off that whole disappointment when you go to the grocer at peak tomato time and you find that tomatoes are like 99 cents a kilo, right?
Yeah.
And you go, oh, and all the effort I've went and bought these plants and whatnot. But if you grow from seed, then I'm pretty sure the economics kind of works out.
That's exactly right, yes. No, I can confirm that is the case. But it's a sort of wonderful cultural shift in a way. We've gone back to that sort of thing and it's become very normal. It used to be, I suspect, someone would say, I stayed home and plant out the tomatoes, and you think, oh, well, that doesn't sound very exciting. But no, not now.
Now it's like, what variety? Oh, what was it?
That's exactly right. Are you grafting? What are you doing? What's your root stock? And of course, also, we're only a couple of days away. Not only does Labour weekend signal the time to plant out your tomatoes, but it's the time when the fireworks start to make their way into the supermarkets and various things. I was at the supermarket yesterday, and the woman said, "Oh, we came for fireworks." I went, "What? What? Oh, of course, that's right. The supermarkets will be selling those." And you just kind of think of it. You worry about the cats and the horses and various other animals.
Yeah.
But they've come out and they've said now that at the 2012 Olympics in London, there may not be any fireworks because they're environmentally unsustainable.
Oh, I hadn't even thought about that.
Rain of toxic powder falling down into the waterways.
Yeah, well, true. There's a lot of smoke caused by not only, I guess, carbon dioxide, but I'd imagine there'd be all kinds of things in it. So it always smells very nice, though.
It does, doesn't it? Yes, and they're suggesting that lasers will be better. But I don't know. There's something about that sort of almost primal explosion of gunpowder and colour that the reverberation of which sort of shakes the land, and you can see it from miles away, and you see that burst of colour, and then a few seconds later, depending on how far away that sound wave hits you, hard for lasers to keep up with that.
Yeah. Do you think is this Olympics attempting to be like a carbon zero type Olympics or something?
I suspect it's probably attempting to have a very small footprint, but yeah, it may well be, I would think. Yes.
Be a bit different to the Beijing Olympics, that's for sure. How many fireworks went off at the Beijing Olympics?
Yeah, well, they are, they funded the fireworks market for years to come. Sydney, of course, they always have a fantastic one right there on the Harbour Bridge and all kinds of things, but no, marvellous. And next week we can do it all ourselves. There was a big fireworks display near where I was on the weekend. It went on for several minutes. Unfortunately, I couldn't see it.
Oh, I heard it as well.
What's that?
I heard that as well. It looked like it was out down at Auckland Harbour somewhere, but on Saturday night.
Oh, right, yes. Is that where it was? It was enormous. Oh, I wonder if it was for the yachting.
Sunday night. I think it was Sunday night. Well, it could be yachting. Is there some kind of Labour Day or Labour weekend regatta?
Is it the Russell to Auckland or something like that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I don't
Probably.
know. I don't know.
Quite a bit different, a totally different topic. Birds and smoking.
Well, a similar topic in many ways in terms with pollution. Apparently there's someone found a bird's nest in Wellington and it was lined with a thick layer of cigarette butts. So whether the birds have got a nicotine habit or they've just sort of suddenly thought, hey, these are quite a comfortable and useful little thing to build a nest out of. So they're worried, of course, about the fact that cigarette butts are thrown on the streets. Dirty, it's filthy. Worst part of smoking, other than the whole sort of blowing smoke at you and throat cancer,
and dying.
It's the cigarette butts lying on the ground, and you see them just that casual sort of almost unconscious way that people just throw their butts on the ground. Filthy. Clogging up the waterways.
The nest, it would be like, well, literally like an ashtray, wouldn't it?
I suppose so, yes. Yes, and the baby birds, of course, born without any feathers, so it would be sort of like being covered in nicotine patches, I suppose. You'd have some quite feisty little birds, I would think. Poor little mother bird coming in there with worms. Terrible.
So look out for some actual smoking birds at some point later on this summer.
Yes, that's right. If you're walking through the street and a bird flies down and steals your cigarette, you know what to blame it on. It's the it's juvenile delinquency. It's bad bird parenting.
Now, talking about bad bird parenting and juvenile delinquency, a lot of people would say that had a lot to do with the Hobbit fracas and the fact that people couldn't sit down and sort of work things out before it just went totally out of control. I heard that last night, overnight, it went as far as being on BBC last night. In fact, there was the interview done on Close Up with Mr. Jackson that was on the BBC last night, and it was one of their top stories.
Well, I'm not surprised, actually. It's certainly a global sort of story, and of course, the lovely phrase in the papers today. They say the West Coast heavy hitters are coming down to talk to John Key. By that, obviously, they mean the sort of the high flyers from LA. But when I hear the term West Coast heavy hitter, I kind of think of, I don't know, a league player from the west coast of the South Island coming out of the mines and being called into some sort of provincial team.
True.
Or into the All Blacks. But no, coming down, and one of them apparently ex an acquaintance of John Key's, but he's not sure whether that personal sort of friendship or acquaintanceship will do any harm. Most disconcerting thing about the whole thing is they're going, oh, look, we're going to have a bit of a chat, see if we can't change the labour laws. Yeah. And you think, I'm not entirely sure if that's a good idea. You know, at the behest of some sort of film company. I mean, obviously it's important to keep the work here, but at what cost? And what are they going to do to change these labour laws? I don't know. It all sounds a little bit sort of third world, sort of dictatorship pandering to the likes of a big corporate.
Isn't it funny? The Prime Minister has been reduced from, potentially, if all had gone smoothly, welcoming some Warner's people into the country as a proud leader and of a proud nation. But now he's literally going to be on his hands and knees, grovelling, dribbling. Please, walk all over us. Please do whatever you like. Please, we'll give you anything.
Yes, I don't know. I think he's been involved in some pretty high-end negotiations in the past. I suspect with currencies and deals at least equal to the size of this, with his what's it called, finance, merchant banking, and all of that sort of thing. So I imagine he'll come in. He's very charismatic. I suspect he'll charm them. And they'll sit there and go, actually, what's the deal? And there'll be quite a lot of deal talking. I'd quite like to be a fly on the wall as they slide bits of paper backwards and forwards with the potential tax cuts and what it is they want on the table, lifted up like a poker game over a cup of tea on the 10th floor of the Beehive.
No doubt there should be a lot of smoking going on in that room as well.
There should be, and lots of sort of men pacing around outside and sort of. I wonder what will there be a porphyry as the private jet arrives? Will there be will the streets be lined with people waving and welcoming them into the country? I don't know, but of course you didn't go along to the in support of the Hobbit rally yesterday.
No, I didn't.
No, I don't think the Auckland one was all that big. Wellington was fairly large. Yeah. I think I saw a comment somewhere there was about 10 people in Matamata, including someone dressed up as an orc. So, people certainly getting out there. And interesting, of course, it was being portrayed by many as a sort of an anti-union protest on Labour Day as opposed to a sort of a pro-Hobbit rally.
Quite bizarre when you think about it, when we wouldn't have had the whole Labour Day at all without the unions.
Exactly. Yeah. So there we are. It's interesting times indeed. Yeah. But fortunately, all I can say is we'll talk it out, and we don't live in Iran where they've got back into the habit of chopping people's hands off if you commit crimes. And no surprise really for a country that stones adulterers to death. So we'll continue to sell them lamb, I imagine.
Why not? Thanks very much to you, Radar.
We'll speak again next week, and by then we may well know whether or not we can all grow the hair on our feet and attempt to get a background part in a movie.
Get chopped off at the knees.
Exactly.
See you next week.
All right, we'll speak again.
See Radar there. It's 23 minutes past 8 now on the Kiwi. Got a track from the Eastern. This here is called Winter Kill.